Landlords in New Jersey are suing their city in order to stop them from providing free lawyers to tenants to fight their eviction cases. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of Jersey City, New Jersey. Landlords up there, man, they are angry. They are angry that their city wants to provide free lawyers to tenants to fight their eviction cases. Now, obviously, I am very much opposed to that sort of legislation. You know, they call it tenant right to counsel, okay? And the reason I'm opposed to it is because a lot of the lawyers, they do frivolous filings. They try to drag the process out as long as possible, and they make it much, much more expensive for a landlord to be able to get through the eviction process, okay? It's already costing landlords thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to remove a tenant who isn't paying rent. And then the lawyers, they only make it worse. Not only that, but in the issue of fairness, the government deciding which side they are going to pay for a free lawyer for, while the other side may possibly be just as low income or maybe representing themselves without a lawyer. That's wrong. It's wrong. It's dead wrong. And, you know, in the order of fairness, if they're going to provide lawyers, they need to provide lawyers for both sides. This is a civil lawsuit between two individual parties. This isn't a criminal lawsuit. See, that's what the confusion they try to throw out there. They're like, oh, well, if a person was facing criminal charges, like, well, yeah, if a person is facing criminal charges, it is that person versus the government. Okay. Now, when a person is facing civil lawsuit, they're going one individual or one business or group against another individual business or group. Okay. So those two parties, they should have to pay for their own legal representation. Or, you know, if the government wants to provide legal representation, they shouldn't provide it only for one side. That's nonsense. It's garbage. Okay. Now, their justification always has been, oh, well, these tenants, they're lower income and they can't afford it. Well, you know what? A lot of landlord tenant disputes and eviction cases are, you know, it's not giant multi-billion-dollar corporations. Sometimes the landlord is somebody renting a spare bedroom in their house. Sometimes the landlord is living in a duplex. They live in one side and they rent out the other side. So they could very well be in the exact same financial situation as their tenant, yet the tenant has a free lawyer while they are stuck representing themselves or coming out of pocket with thousands of dollars. So that's wrong, okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. What do you think of cities providing free lawyers to tenants in order to fight their eviction cases? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Now, I know I've asked this question before, but you know, every video is different. I get different people watching every video, and I like to hear all of the varying opinions. And do you think landlords have any chance of actually stopping this from happening, especially in a place like Jersey City, New Jersey? It's right across from Manhattan, okay? So that should tell you what the politics are like in this area. It's not going to be an easy battle, and they're probably going to lose, in my opinion. But anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from Gothamist.com, and it says, landlords sue Jersey City over plan to give tenants free legal help. Whew, let's get into it. A group of landlords wants to overturn Jersey City's right to counsel legislation, which would provide free lawyers to renters facing eviction by 2025. The Jersey City Council passed a pair of ordinances last month guaranteeing low-income tenants free legal representation in housing court, using future developers' fees to pay for it. On Wednesday, the Jersey City Property Owners Association sued the city, claiming the new rules exceeded the city's taxing authority and its municipal powers conferred by the state. So yeah, they're suing the city because they say, hey, the city doesn't have a right to tax in this method, right? And that might fall down on the way that the legal representation is being paid for. And they say they're going to use future developers' fees to pay for it. So if you want to build a building in Jersey City, well, you're going to be paying I don't know how much, but it's going to be a tax essentially. They call it a fee, but no, it's a tax. You're going to be paying a tax in order to provide free lawyers to tenants. Okay, so I don't like that. I don't like that, and maybe they might be able to get it overturned on that, but believe me, if that happens, the only thing they're going to do is finding a different funding source, okay? Oh man. Anyway, let's continue. It's a tremendous intrusion into private contractual rights, says Charles Gormally, an attorney representing the association. The civil complaint was filed in Hudson County Superior Court and alleges the city is creating a new form of taxation that only benefits a group of private residents, tenants who make 80% or less of the area's median income and are eligible for free counsel. So, yeah, and they're absolutely right. They are creating a tax that only benefits a small portion of the population. It's not, hey, we're going to provide a lawyer to anyone in an eviction case, be it a landlord or a tenant who makes 80% of or less of the median area income. It's only for tenants. It's nonsense, okay? I don't like the idea of free lawyers in civil cases. I think that that's not necessary at all, okay? And these tenants, most of them, they have no case. There is no case when you owe your landlord money. 90 to 95% of all evictions are for non-payment of rent. So what are you fighting here? But the lawyers will figure out some way to drag this out in order to, get the tenant to be able to stay there for months or even years, probably years in a place like Jersey City, longer, okay? And the landlord is just going to keep losing money until they're finally able to get that tenant out of there. Councilmember James Solomon, who sponsored the legislation in April, expressed outrage at the legal challenge. You want to sue your way out of your responsibilities to tenants, Jersey City residents, and the city that allowed you to make the profits you're using to fund the suit against us? You want to waste your time and money on this frivolous lawsuit, Solomon said in a statement? Fine, see you in court. He said the ordinances will level the playing field in housing court, where few tenants have lawyers, while landlords are usually represented. Only 3% of tenants have lawyers during eviction proceedings, according to the National Coalition for a Civil Right to Counsel. Renters with attorneys are far more likely to keep their homes, data shows. Not their homes, okay? The homes belong to the landlords. It is the place they are renting. And according to the contractual agreement that they agreed to, right? They are going to pay the rent on time every month. And if they're not doing that, they need to go. That is the whole reason they are being evicted. For 90 to 95%, probably closer to 95%, maybe even more than that, right? Of cases, it's for non-payment of rent. So, he's like, oh, yeah, I'll see you in court. But, the typical politician, you aren't seeing anybody in court. The real people who are paying over this lawsuit is the taxpayers. The taxpayers, they have to deal with these lawsuits for these stupid laws that you guys put in place. It's real easy for you to talk a bunch of mess because you don't have to pay anything out of your pocket. Okay? Like I said, in a civil suit, guess what? The landlords, they're paying for their own lawyers so that they can sue the government. Maybe, and the government's got to pay for their own lawyers. They don't have somebody up above who's paying for them. So, and the government, how do they pay for their lawyers? They tax the citizenship. It's New Jersey has the highest taxes in the whole country. I mean, it's a well-known fact that New Jersey has the highest tax burden overall in the entire country. So when you see this sort of thing, this sort of litigation they're going through, it doesn't surprise me one bit that things are just so expensive there. Okay, so let's read a little bit more here. Gormally said New Jersey already has strong tenant protections and requires landlords to go to court to file evictions. The state legislature created substantive rights for tenants, he said. What they didn't create was right to free counsel. It's certainly well intentioned, but it's not necessary and an excessive use of authority they don't have. And I agree, okay? It's not necessary, especially considering the fact that most of the tenants, they don't have a case to fight, and if they had the money to pay their rent, then maybe they wouldn't be getting evicted right now. Maybe they wouldn't. So yeah, this is ridiculous. We'll see what happens with this whole lawsuit. I feel for the landlords. I don't think it's going to go very far, but you know, it's really about putting the message out there. Don't blame us for your problems. Don't tax us to solve issues that you created. This whole thing is not our fault. Only thing we're trying to do is operate our businesses. And my suggestion is, if you're a small landlord in Jersey City, or hopefully if you aren't stuck under rent control, you're making some sort of money. But if not, look elsewhere. There's lots of places across the country where they treat landlords with respect, where we still have our property rights.